Hello, folks. Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU, here for another legacy video. It's currently like 3 in the morning, so just kind of woke up and was wide awake, and it's recording time apparently. So thank you to Byron H for supporting today's Dealer's Choice donation deck list. And since it's 3 in the morning, I'm gonna make some bad decisions and play Food Chain. Now, normally Food Chain is something that I don't want to play on this channel because it's just physically a pain in the butt to click through on Magic Online. But this Food Chain's Goblin deck list is something that I've played against on the channel a handful of times, and it has looked pretty impressive from the other side of the table. And while waiting to combo with something like Walking Ballista takes forever, this deck just wants to get to like 6 mana and poop a Muxus onto the battlefield and kill your opponent, and that only requires a few clicks, and I'm totally good with that. Deck can technically go infinite by repeatedly exiling Squee the Immortal with Food Chain. Since you can cast it from exile, you just go back it to Food Chain, you get 4 mana, and every time you cast it, you end up netting 1 mana. And you can use that for all sorts of card advantage or tutoring, and we even have a neat little combo. So, Conspicuous Snoop lets you cast goblins off the top of your library, and as long as the top card of your library is a goblin card, Snoop has the activated abilities of that card. So what you can do is play a Boggart Harbinger to put Kiki Jiki on top of your library. Snoop is now a Kiki Jiki, okay? So you go, and it's not legendary. So Snoop Kiki Jiki can copy itself to make a new copy, which can copy itself, and then with the last one, you copy a Boggart Harbinger instead, putting a Sling Gang Lieutenant on top, and then you just drain your opponent out for lethal damage. So what I like about this deck list is while you do have the traditional, oh, I just Goblin Lackeyed you and put a Muxus into play on turn 2 starts, you also have some extra mana acceleration in the form of Ignoble Hierarchs and Ancient Tombs that can just kind of push you towards a really good, fair, mid-range toolbox plan as well. This deck is going to seek to race opposing combo decks most of the time. You'll notice like there's no Thought Seizes here. There's no discard, no chalices or anything like that in the main deck. Game 1 plan versus combo is race them. And the post sideboard plan doesn't get much better. Like you have some pieces of assorted interaction versus combo, including the interesting Earwig squad that can rip the win conditions right out of your opponent's deck. But generally speaking, we're going to beat a lot of fair stuff, and we're going to have trouble versus combo decks unless we get a lucky Goblin Lackey start. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go ahead and hop into the matches here. If you're new here and you like what you see, please consider subscribing. And if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It's the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's battle. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and keep this hand. It is a Goblin Lackey start. It's not like the fastest possible Goblin Lackey start, but with 2 lackeys and the ability to tutor here, this is pretty strong. This hand actually may run into an Emery as a blocker. That's a real problem. Okay, sure. All right, so draw your card. Ignoble Hierarch actually helps a lot. Cavern goes on Goblin. I'll dump this into play. Dodge the Force of Will that my opponent might have. There's still all sorts of blockers that can come into play this turn. Emery, Sai. I'm not going to be able to easily connect multiple times. Oh, cool. It's just a Thought Cast. This just kills, right? I fetch now. No, this isn't going to have haste. Yeah, so this won't kill now. Okay. Kills next turn. Go ahead and fetch. I'll grab a Taiga. Cast a Snoop. Goblin Matron. Solid pickup. Alright. Now I get to dump a goblin into play. I think I'm just gonna dump another lackey. Now let's get a Muxus. Muxus is great for if things go wrong. I already just have the Boggart Harbinger kill uncounterably next turn. Okay, cool. So play this. Uncounterable Boggart Harbinger. We'll search for Kiki Jiki. Nope. Okay, yep. So Snoop would target Snoop repeatedly until I have at least 20 goblins, or I guess 19. And then I would find Sling Gang Lieutenant and bleed my opponent out. My opponent's seen this combo before, so they concede to it. Okay, I am interested in Goblin Trashmaster, Chalice on 0. I think, despite the fact that I'm probably also going to play Meltdown, Fury's okay. Pyroblasts and Caracas are also playable. I think I just need Fury to push through early blockers. This is stuff I can play. And this is a lot of cards. I probably don't get to play all of them. I don't know if I'm supposed to just, like, cut the Goblin Lackeys because they're not going to connect enough, or what. I have 0 experience playing this deck. Wow, I have no idea how to sideboard. I don't know that I have room for these. Try to find 6 cuts. I don't know that I need to try to go infinite with Food Chain here. I think I can do that from a Boggart Harbinger and get rid of Pashalik Bonds, and that gives me 6 comfortably. I don't know that I can get to this many comfortably. Oh, shit, I'm a 61 card deck. 1 Blast, 1 Caracas. Let's play 1 Caracas to replace some mana sources in the form of Food Chain. I don't know that I'm excited about this. This is turn 1 Ignoble Hierarch, turn 2 Goblin Matron for Trashmaster or something. I'm gonna ship this. I'm not excited about this. I think I'm going to just keep it rather than go to 5. I don't know, maybe this is supposed to still be a mulligan. Sure. Okay. Alright. I don't think I show my opponent Cavernous Souls on turn 1. Saga ticks up. I'm going to face down some large constructs quickly. Okay. I'm going to go on Goblin. I will play Uncounterable Goblin Matron. We'll use this ability. I imagine I'm just finding Trashmaster here. I don't have quite enough acceleration to go to Kiki Jiki. Awkwardly, if I find this, my opponent just Pithing Needles it. That is very awkward. Yeah, I'm just grabbing Muxus. This is the sort of situation where I wish I had Food Chain to just jump the mana. Yeah, I don't know. My inexperience may cost me here. It also just may be that, like, I can't compete with the speed of these Urza Sagas on the draw. Like, this is 2 7/7s on their turn 3. That's Outpaced Fury. This is my primary removal in this deck. Okay. So are you going for the trample immediately? Yeah. Oh, I end up taking 7 here. My Trashmaster is not needled. Like, that's an out as a draw. I think I'm effectively dead here. I'm going to go ahead and concede. The issue is, like, 7 plus 2 plus 2 is 11, so I can't tap this Ancient Tomb twice to have a setup turn. Alright. Am I supposed to go fair Food Chain? Am I supposed to cut the Snoop combo? How am I supposed to do this? On the play, I just have much better Goblin Lackey-based options. And I can have, like, Chalice and Meltdown. I'm just going to whack the submit button. I don't know, maybe I'm not supposed to play all the Furies, but they help push Goblin Lackey through. I'm going to assume that I keep a Meltdown hand, even if it is not necessarily insane. Alright. Red land, pass. Okay. Opponent's starting to do their thing. That is an incredibly risky play into open Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast. My opponent's not getting punished for it. But yeah. My Meltdown is not the best versus Psy. Hand has some problems. Alright. What we can do to fix that. One of my issues here is I don't have red, and I also don't have black mana. Maker is only 2 damage. Really awkward to get a Hierarch when I have ringleaders coming. I think I'm going to find a Boggart Harbinger and just have my combo in hand. My opponent's hand is like surprisingly resilient to Meltdown, which is the right reason why I kept my hand. This is super annoying. My opponent should float a mana here. Yep. Legend Rule and Opal. Yeah. They have just had the absolute perfect I beat Meltdown hand. Because this Meltdown is not gonna beat Kappa Cannoneer. Yeah. That's very frustrating. I'm okay if... Okay. At least have a plan now. Plan sucks, but I have a plan. I am probably going to lose this game because this is not a red or black source, but I've got a chance. So my hope is just that my opponent leaves back a bunch of Thopter tokens, and then I cast a Meltdown, clearing their blockers, and then I like somehow get a Goblin Lackey kill by magic fuckery. But I think if my opponent leaves back the Psy body, I never win. Please get Gradient attack with it. Thank you. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Get that damage. Activate Saga. Oh, no, they're not activating Saga for one more. Needed them to activate Saga. Alright. I fetch. Grab Taiga. Cast a Ringleader. I don't think anything changes here. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I am just fully reliant on my opponent messing up here. Okay, they're going to draw some cards with Psy. They're not going to draw some cards with Psy. They didn't actually sacrifice the artifacts. Oh, are you just going to make the Urza Saga token with the blue mana? Oh, an Otawara as your last card. Urza Saga was already beating it. Alright, GG's. Alright, let's see. That doesn't really do anything, right? I can play a turn 2 food chain. I don't really have anything to ramp into realistically. If I sacrifice the Snoop, it'd be ramp. And the Kiki Jiki Snoop thing works when Kiki Jiki is the top card of your library. If Kiki Jiki copies a Snoop, that doesn't do me any good. I'm gonna ship this. Yeah, this is fine. I'm just gonna throw back the Crater Maker here. It is probably a better fair hand most of the time. Alright, that is not the sort of thing that I want to see. And Ignoble Hierarch. Hello, I assume you are getting exiled pretty much immediately. My hope is to feed a couple of removal spells to my opponent and then use Snoop as... Sorry, feed a couple of goblins to my opponent's removal spells and then use Snoop as my form of card advantage. Alright, yep, that was to be expected. Okay, there's another source of card advantage. So, Goblins historically is pretty good at burying opponents in rare cards. I didn't say that eloquently. Goblins has a lot of card advantage, and if your blue opponent is trying to 1-for-1 you, you tend to be pretty good at beating that. Alright, that's fortunate, but fine. My opponent's counterspells are just off for the whole match. We will keep playing fair. Phallic Mons is not really great on an empty board, but it's just about continuously pressuring my opponent and then eventually getting what is hopefully a draw 4 or close to it. Alright, we're in play. And the 4-mana ability of this card is essentially flavor text. Oh boy. My opponent just makes a 12-12. I'm not great. Okay, cool. Great. That was just a cantripping dress down. That's fine. Squeeze not great right now, but that is a very annoying card for my opponent to try and answer long term. I am just going to put another one of these on Goblin, despite the fact that that won't make Fury uncounterable. Because I probably am going to pitch cast a Fury anyway. Okay, sure. New dress down. That's a blow. Going to just attack with this and keep the pressure up. Finishing my sentence. I'm willing... Oh, nope, never mind. I was about to say, I'm willing to attack this into a Snapcaster Mage, because that would be denying a resource here. But my hand was very much based around resolving this as a source of card advantage. Is this a creature? Sacrifice a goblin. Okay, cool. Yaw. Send in with both as a starting point. One goes to 11. Just casting this, or am I activating this? This doesn't actually net me any damage. Let's just go ahead and cast this. My opponent has some big end of turn play. Negative. Fully a fetch to thin. Opponent's got mana. Uh-huh. Dreadnoughting me. Okay. Opponent saved 3 points of damage there. Sacrifice dress down. Uncounterable Goblin Lackey. Counterable Squee. Fury's a little awkward. I think I'm supposed to save this to cast after a Planeswalker or after my opponent brainstorms. Like, it's pretty likely that they have a Force of Will as a thing that is currently in their hand. Yuck, I don't want to draw land here. I'm just firing on in with the attacks. No fear. Like, see if I can get my opponent to spend some mana mid-combat doing something and then do something cool with a Fury. That's a Shark. 4/4 is a perfect size for me. Oh, they're just blocking the Squee. Do you also have swords? Wow, they just let Goblin Lackey hit go through. I don't have anything, but... Ow. Alright. Let's fetch... Let's grab a Taiga. I will go ahead and attempt this now that my opponent has to at least 2-for-1 themselves to counter this. Alright, pitching a minor misstep. Sure. I don't really want to be playing against this Supreme Verdict deck. I don't have a lot of choice in the matter. As long as the top of my deck is kind to me. Ooh. This is uncounterable. Oh, this is uncounterable. And that'll find me a Muxus. Yeah, that's fine. Yes. Muxus. So, like, my opponent's Hellbent, and I have a Muxus coming next turn. My opponent has used 3 dress downs. I'm gonna lose my shit if their last card here is a final dress down. Alright. Fetch. Badlands. Muxus. Cool. Ooh. Yeah. I will use that ability. Get another Muxus. And with a Matron, attempt a point of damage. Sure. It's pretty likely my opponent's card is a land or counter spell. Okay, cool. So we beat Ending, Swords, dress down, Verdict, dress down. Ending Swords. Dark Typhoon. Respectable. Okay. I don't really know how to sideboard with this deck. I'm interested in a Carpet over an Ignoble Hierarch. I am not interested in Goblin Crater Maker. My opponent can have strange degrees of interaction. Like, Mishalik Mons is very good against Supreme Verdict, but not if Dress Down gets involved. I am thinking about Caracas to bounce Muxus. Thinking about these. I am thinking about these. Not thinking about more Furies. I'll probably go down on food chains. Do that. That gets me 3 blasts that I can use to fight against, like, dress downs, Aces, Teferis, that sort of stuff. I don't know if I'm interested in Chalice on the draw. Not, like, the most interested in these. I don't know. I'm also not, like, super interested in food chain here. Like, I'm just gonna have time to cast stuff in fairways. This is a weird fucking hand. It has no gas. I don't think this is the sort of hand that I want to keep here. That is unplayable. This is a great 5-card hand. I think I get rid of Muxus and a Ringleader. I just assume that Lackey dies on turn 1, and then I try to stick a Chalice afterwards and buy me time to get to Ringleader. This is not ideal, and I expect to lose this game. But unlike the first hand, this hand has a plan to win. Whereas the first hand's plan was... I think I'm supposed to play that first. Because this allows me to attempt to both Lackey and Chalice next turn if it works. Or alternatively... Or alternatively, I just do this. Take the red mana and play Lackey now. And now my opponent has a creature that they probably have to remove. Meaning that my carpet gets to stick around for at least a turn. It is an island, right? Creature cards in graveyards and libraries can't enter the battlefield. Sure. I'm going to say no to carpet. And just start with the Goblin Lackey attack. See where this leads us with Goblin Ringleader. Oh wow, that was quite bad. I will yes to this ability. Make red mana. Frame Verdict's going to be very good against me, but this is a now or never situation for this Goblin Lackey. So I'm choosing now. It makes Verdict or some sort of weird Pyroclasm effect significantly better versus me. Narset's fine. What you got? Prismatic Ending, sure. I think I'm going to go ahead and do a fetch to thin here. I think I always want basic mountain with one of these. Okay. So, make land drop. Go to combat. Ringleader goes to Narset. One Lackey goes to Narset. One Lackey goes to face. So those are dead. And play Boggart Harbinger. Yes, we're going to be putting a Muxus on top. And I'll call it a turn. Okay, that's just good enough for the match win. I don't really know why my opponent kept their hand. Like, it's turn 4, and on turns 1 through 3, they did not interact with me meaningfully. Alright, round 3. I'm going to keep this hand. Doesn't feel overly impressive to me. But, like, I am going to ignore counterspells for this entire game. And I have 2 different 1-drop plays and a good bridge card. Okay. That food chain doesn't quite do anything. It's close to doing things. Go ahead and lead on this on Goblin and start by attempting Goblin Lackey lines. Just see where that goes. Don't know exactly what I'm playing against yet. Alright. Prismatic Ending. I'm playing against something in the more controlling spectrum, but I don't necessarily know what yet. Verdant Catacombs is a little weird here. Could be something in like the Dead Guy Ale ballpark. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. That means I always fetch Taiga with this now. Just a tri-land. Like we might be playing against something in the Depths ballpark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I play Food Chain this turn. Next turn I play Matron, tutor for Muxus. What if my opponent hits me with a discard spell? Guess technically I would rather have played Matron here then. Bet on Goblin. Go grab a Muxus. Don't have a Sting Scourger in this deck to bounce a potential Merit Lodge. This is something I'm potentially worried about right now. Alright, they're chilling. I don't really need to worry about making my thing uncounterable. Let's cast a Food Chain here. See if my opponent has an instant speed Source of Plowshares. Negative. 4 mana. Plus Ancient Tomb. 6 mana. Attempt Muxus. Oh yeah, you can Boseiju my Food Chain in response. It seems like that should have happened last turn. I want Badlands. No, Urborg's still in play. Okay. I will use Matron's ability. Muxus is bounceable. We've got Snoop plus Boggart Harbinger. That just is a kill next turn. Assuming nothing goes wrong. As long as I don't draw the Kiki Cheeky. Hard to get more card advantage than just another one of those. I guess I could have gotten a Goblin Lackey and played that. Okay, so my opponent doesn't want to bounce the Muxus. Alright, cool. So assuming they are playing some sort of weird Merit Lodge control-y deck, bringing in Caracas is fine. Not really going to be great against what they're doing. My plan is just murder them. I think I'm going to bring in an Earwig squad as well. Fury, I guess, is technically playable for Elvish Reclaimer type stuff. There might be Dark Confidence in there. I think if I bring in Fury, Crater Maker can go. I don't want to cut things related to my combo potential. Gallic Mons can probably go. Great Chieftain as a combo card. Ringleader becomes Earwig Squad. Maybe I don't play the extra Fury. 61 cards. Right. I am fine with keeping this hand. Assuming my opponent is a Merit Lodge deck, I have my one of Caracas in hand. And I also just have some food chain nonsense. Okay. You're Loman, you're Loman. Squeeze pretty good. That gives me a fast goldfish. My opponent's deck might be in like the Pox wheelhouse. Okay. Loam is solid. Wasteland starts to get scary. This unfortunately needs to be a Taiga so that I can go infinite with Squee next turn. Which is wastelandable. But in theory, I have a kill next turn. That is very much theory, though. Okay. Thought Seizes are in the deck. Okay. Yep. That's annoying. Potentially beatable. Like, I can potentially combo through this turn, I think. It's a weird line for it to work. Let's Ringleader. 1, 2, 3. Go to 5 mana. Go down 1 mana here. We'll use this ability. I have 2 mana. I don't actually have a plus. No, this is a +1/+1 Lord. That's probably what I'm getting. Can't cast it now. But yeah, that's what I'm going to get. I'll discard this Squee because I can just cast that from graveyard later. Like from the loam is fine. Yep, you can come on in. Another food chain is not what I'm looking for. A little awkward. Alright. So this starts off looking like this. A red for a Goblin Lackey. I sack the Goblin Lackey for Squee. I'm going to make some mana. Okay, my opponent just conceded to me starting the Squee loop. They weren't actually dead at all. But, thanks. Alright, round 4. This has no lands. That sucks. Got card advantage in the form of Goblin Ringleader, but, like, I think I can do better on 5 on the play. Alright, 1 food chain always goes back. I think the other food chain goes back. I think I am fully on the play goblins from hand, keep all the goblins train here. Yeah, I'm just basically hoping my opponent does not have blockers. This is not great. Like, this requires a lot of stuff to go well. This requires 2 Goblin Lackey hits to win the game, which is not super likely. I'm not going to play free combat Goblin Matron and go for Muxus immediately. I think that runs into too much stuff. I'm going to assume that this Goblin Lackey gets lightning bolted some portion of the time. God damn it. And just do this uncounterably. Fine, Muxus. The line that I took is just so much safer. Like, if my opponent has Daze, Lightning Bolt, or Force of Will, I'm just essentially dead for trying it. And now this, like, plays around removal much better. It plays around counter spells. Okay, don't know what my opponent is playing. Galling Tarn is most commonly Delver. I just want a board for Delver. I can play these 4 cards at very little cost to myself. Like, they will be good because my opponent is in blue. It's things like Fury and Chalice that are more of called shots. It's, like, super weird that a Delver player would keep an opening hand that does not have a counterspell, a Lightning Bolt, or a 1-drop threat. So I'm not, like, convinced that I'm playing against Delver. I'm playing against something like Show and Tell here. I don't want to cut any of my, like, Snoop, Jiki nonsense. Going to turn an Ignoble Hierarch into a carpet. Shalikmon seems cuttable. I think I'm gonna do this and get those counterspells in there. More importantly than counterspells, they're just removal spells for a Planeswalker or a Murktide Regent. Yeah, I'll keep this. This is better if my opponent is control than if they're Delver. If they're Delver, this is a lot of damage to me. I'll lead on Ancient Tomb here and not get Cavern immediately wastelanded. Delver? Guy control? Okay. Oh. Some bullshit Leyline Binding control deck? Bulk Savannah is a really weird combination of dual lands. Alright, I've only got one play. Goblin Matron. I don't know what to search up. I have great endgame already. I've just got, like, Ringleader into Muxus as my plans. Assuming no Wasteland. If I get Wastelanded, I guess I'd like to play something like a Snoop next turn. I've just got the late game so covered here. My mana worked out a little bit differently. I don't know, maybe I should have just gotten a Lackey. I get Wastelanded Lackey. Forces my opponent to have a blocker as well. Ooh, going for the Cavern. Sure. Yeah, Lackey would have been better if they take that line. I was thinking about this getting Wastelanded. Yep, I messed up. One goes to 18. I guess I will just pass the turn here, unfortunately. Yep. Okay. Yeah, you can have that. I'm not gonna Pyroblast that. Yep, I found the correct line, but I should have spent a little more time thinking about it. And actually done it. Just yield to that. Alright, no damage from that. They're just chilling. That's a pretty horrible draw for me. This needs to be a basic mountain, so I don't get wastelanded off of all of my colored mana. And I hate this turn so much, because this is just 4 life for this to get counterspelled. Yep. Saw it coming, have to play into it. I just have to trade with those counterspells. Because I am not flush with red mana to the point where I can just play something with Pyroblast backup. Okay, opponent will take some damage off Sylvan Library this time. Alright. Big plays coming. Die to a Minsk and Boo. Sure. Cavern of Souls is currently my best draw. Alright. Fetch into shuffle now. Nope, chillin'. Yep, there's the punish for playing around Wasteland. Cool. Ow. Yep. Again, I just have to power through them in hopes that I can resolve a Muxus and basically instantly win the game when I do. Yep, that's fine. Not great for me. This game is fully about whether or not I can cast this card. And I think I did fully lose the game by not tutoring properly. Yep. Saw that coming. So I'm in sort of this good news, bad news situation where I have a Fury. Like, I can Fury answer the Planeswalker and then die to this, or I can answer this and then die to the Planeswalker. I will concede here. I think I punted that game. I was just valuing amount of mana since I had a ton of shit in hand and my opponent was valuing the colors. I'm essentially playing against a 4-color control deck list. Would like to be value oriented. Caverns for something like Muxus are really good. Unsure how I feel about the food chain combo portion of the deck list. I think I want an extra Fury for Minsk and Boo. I don't know that these are super necessary. I think I'm going to play a Caracas for Boo. It's not like these are bad. But it's hard for me to get to like red, red, red to do something like play a card and back it up with red Elemental Blast here. I don't know that I need Crater Maker. I can play some Chalices if I'm not going to play these. And shut off some degree of interaction from my opponent. Fine. Yeah, I'm supposed to have Pashalik Mons in the deck. This feels too slow to me. Like, this plays nothing on turn 1 or 2. That's meaningful. Like, I have great endgame, but what happens if my opponent just plays Inskaboo on turn 4? I probably just die to it. This is much stronger. I will keep this. I think I put a Sling Gang Lieutenant back into my deck. That's required for the Snoop combo. Cavern on Goblin. Play this. We got turn 2 Matron if my opponent doesn't have a removal spell, and I have turn 2 Snoop if they do have a removal spell. So, which is it? No removal spell. I am already susceptible to Wasteland, so I'm going to go ahead and just get a Taiga. We'll go ahead and Matron. I don't really have a great Matron target, because what I really want right now is mana. And Matron doesn't really get me mana. I guess it kind of does with Chieftain. Or no, sorry, this is not War Chief, Chieftain. Just Matroning for Matron. And we got a Ringleader. Ringleader is such a good play for next turn if I hit a land. I still have plays for if I do not hit a land. Sure, that's fine. Terminus would not be. Cool. Has always been the bane of Goblins decks. So now I am just glutted with cards that I'm not going to be able to cast. Yep. I think I've lost this one. I think that 2-for-1 after my mulligan is just backbreaking. Like, I have all the card advantage in the world and 0 ability to cast any of it. And I'm just fully dead to my opponent and tripping for a wasteland to take me off of this cavern. I don't know, maybe I'm in the situation again where this deck just does not have enough mana in it, so when I'm in these mid-rangey tutor spots, I'm supposed to just go and find Goblin Lackey, although that would have just gotten answered by that anyway. Yuck. I will probably just concede if my opponent draws Minsk and Boo here. Yeah. I'm just not beating that. Like, this kills me so quickly. Or if it doesn't literally kill me, they just draw 8 cards. And technically, they'll get a combo kill with this. Next turn, if my top card so happens to be Kiki Jiki, well, my opponent can just, like, attack me for 4, Minsk and Boo minus, shoot Snoop. Or, you know, do anything. Alright, I eat 4 from the hamster. I'm at 11. Yeah. Snoop's dead. My opponent draws 4 cards. They have 8 cards. Right? I'm gonna concede. This game's not happening. I'm gonna respect my time. Okay. This is an auto mulligan. I can't cast any of my cards, fortunately. This is a keep. I think my opponent is playing the Riddlesmith deck that they usually play. I think Ignoble Hierarch does not fit the texture of this hand. So my plan obviously involves trying to do cool things with Goblin Lackey. I think realistically, I end up just playing a weird, awkward beatdown game for a turn or two until I find something more broken to do. Okay, sure. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. There is a Riddlesmith. So my opponent now gets to loot every time they cast an artifact. and Echo of Eons, Lion's Eye Diamond nonsense is going to happen. And this is not going to be very fun for me. I don't have very good interaction here. Okay, so this is annoying. Oval Chase Daredevil is really good with Riddlesmith. So my opponent chooses not to imprint that there. They turn their land into another LED. They can then get 6 mana, cast the Echo, and presumably they will just combo off from here. Second Riddlesmith makes this very good. And yeah. Metalwork Colossus. X less to cast, where X is the total mana value of non-creature artifacts you control. Sack 2 artifacts to return this from your graveyard to your hand. Okay. How exactly is Metalwork Colossus good? Is the idea that it's an extra card in hand in a pinch? Or Riddlesmith looting? Like a sack expended from Moxen to get a card to hand? Yes. This total mana value to cast this, and the mana value of this stuff is just 0. We luck out. My opponent fizzle. My current hand's not bad. I just play Ignoble Hierarch, and then attack. Okay, so they've returned the Metalwork Colossus to hand. They are just going to then discard that in an attempt to keep going. Game 1, Tormod's Crypt. Okay, sure. Alright, they're going to sack stuff again. Cast one more spell. Alright. Good's that last card. Alright, so they have two looks at Echo of Eons. Otherwise, they have fizzled. Okay, they're going all in. Okay. How good's the last card? Same situation as before. New Riddlesmith. Alright, they have fully fizzled. Got a good amount of blockers here. My opponent basically has to block the Lackey, right? Alright. Let's fetch. Grab a Taiga. Play Ignoble Hierarch. Play second Ignoble Hierarch. This way, if my opponent wants to block, it costs them 2 copies of Riddlesmith. Oh, okay, they're just gonna chump block. Okay. We'll see what they can do. Ox of Agonas. That's very good. I'm sorry, this deck is so boring to commentate for. It's just like, okay, they cast an artifact, they loot 2. It's not interesting. Just when they have big hits that it matters. Disciple of the Vault. Neat. My opponent, I'm gonna do Ox of Agonas now. So this is just purely a draw 3 for them. LED's good. The mana to continue going. Fortunately found an Echo. Oh, this is gonna get Legend Rule. I get drained for 1. And then Echo is some nonsense. I'm going to assume that this turn probably ends up killing me. Like my opponent just has a fresh 7 now. And good blockers so that my Lackey isn't gonna connect. I think at this point I'm gonna go ahead and jump ahead. Like my opponent is just going to take 5 minutes to do this turn. Okay, my opponent got a second Disciple of the Vault and then just played a bunch of cards. Alright, what do I want here? I want Pyroblasts. Probably want Trashmaster. I want this. Earwig Squad's actually probably reasonable. Actually, a good portion of my sideboard that's not Carpet and Caracas is fine. I don't really need to grind against this deck. I get rid of some number of ringleaders. Yes, yes, yes. Trigger's fine. Don't need Pashalik Mons. Do need Chalice. Quite badly. Probably don't need Goblin Chieftain. As much as I want to combo kill quickly, probably need interaction more. Just too many cards. I don't know what my last cut is. Crater Maker is really mana intensive as interaction. Go down one of those. Okay. This is not keepable because this is a basic forest. Yikes. I don't know how many actual answers my opponent has to a chalice. I don't think it's many. I'm going to keep this and pitch a Muxus. Like, the last time I looked at one of these deck lists, it was like there's a random Surge node that can... Or no, Surge node isn't going to answer a chalice on 0. Or no, Surge node can do that. Alright. Surge node is not a proliferate, it's an add a counter. Okay. Yep, so this is going to be an awkward game where neither of us is going to do stuff. Okay, yep. Cool. Magic as Richard Garfield intended. Oh, that's a problem. Hey. Goblin Lackey's real good, and, well, I need my opponent to not have another land. Great. Echo of Eons in graveyard. And in with Lackey. Ooh, a Dismember. Yep. That sure doesn't get countered by Pyroblast. Discard a Food Chain. My opponent probably floats a mana. Gets an LED. Oh, gets a Haywire Mite. That's very good, and not interactable via Chalice. Alright, so now my opponent gets to start playing Magic. Got Pyroblast for the Echo, which is very important here. That's so much artifact mana. Yep. Now, another one. We got 15 when this is said and done. Opponent casts Echo. I will counter that. Oh. That's nice backup. I will cast a Fury. I think pitching a Goblin Matron. Kill 2 copies of Disciple of the Vault. My opponent can drain me a little bit on the way out. Got 13. I don't think I melt down to destroy a Mox Opal on this board state. 11 cards deep in my deck, and I've only seen one land. Is pretty unfortunate. That is unfortunate. I've never had a chance to fetch to make a decision to get Taiga. Alright, no play from my opponent. Fuck. Still no play from my opponent. Hey! Goblin. I believe this is actually just ignoble hierarch here. Next turn I play Food Chain. I can maybe play a Muxus. I could melt down just Mox Opal here. I think I am going to do that. It doesn't feel good. I think there's a decent chance I have a combo kill next turn, and so I should just do literally anything that works towards stopping my opponent from going off. Alright. Fetch. Food Chain. Exile that for red. Play Snoop. Play that. Oh shit, that's a squee. Okay. So, exile that for red. Play a new Snoop. Exile that for squee. I'm going to cut ahead. Okay, my opponent has conceded there. Yeah, so squee for Muxus with Kiki Jiki and Boggart Harbinger and stuff is 100% leading to a kill there. When I am on the draw, Fairy starts to become more reasonable. Trash Man should maybe be in the deck too. Just cleans up Saga tokens well. I'm not sure how to board here. I want more interaction, but every time I board in a card like this, I just get worse at killing my opponent. The Earwig squad is just too slow on the draw. Matron's also kind of slow, but ability's reasonable. I don't know. Maybe the plan on the draw is just like don't lose, win somehow. I don't know. I'm not comfortable sideboarding with this deck. Yeah, this has a Chalice on 1. I will keep this hand. The Chalice, sorry, this has a Chalice for 0 on turn 1, clarifying. Yep. Good. Awkward combo, but still a combo. Taiga, Lackey, I'll still play Chalice on 0. Saga ticks up. Ooh, Ancient Tomb is quite good there. So my plan becomes melt down these tokens. Can't attack with this turn. I think I want to play a Crater Maker. Yeah. And work towards Meltdown doing something cool after this Chalice gets removed. Yep. There is a possibility that I do just get combo killed on this turn. Alright. My opponent will, in theory, have 2 4/4s. Oh, they are going for the Pithing Needle route. Oh my god. Okay. Well, that's pretty fucking bad. How is this worded? I think I'm gonna take 5 here. Snoop is cool. Oh yeah. Batch. Badlands. Is this a meltdown turn? Seems like this is a meltdown turn. Let's do it. I then get to go ahead and attack in for 3. Goblin Lackey trigger. Put in Snoop. Uncounterable Goblin Lackey. And the plan is just go wide of Urza's Saga. Okay. Typle's reasonable. Ooh. Oh, that's actually very awkward, isn't it? Because I need to fetch to cast that. Oh, wait, it's not awkward. Because Snoop. Let's sacrifice a Goblin Lackey to blow up that token. I lose 1 for that. Do I leave that on top of my library, or do I just fetch and try to get something I can cast? I leave that on top. Put an attack on in. Opponent goes to 6. Don't have anything to put in. Could have done better here. I go ahead and sack that. Make my land drop. Pass the turn. I could have done this and been at 1 higher life, though. No, I miss out on some damage if I do it that way. Alright, there's an LED. Wishclaw Talisman. Opponent goes to 2 here. Going to search. Maybe I should have hit LED right there. Weird. Maybe I should have hit LED there. They have the Echo in hand already, though. Kind of get baited. Sure. I'm thinking about what I want to do with this. I think I exile stuff here. Like, make it so LED doesn't come back. Make it so Disciple doesn't come back. Did not draw a Pyroblast. I drew another Fairy. This is interesting as my top card. Oh, my opponent's dead. Target you. Sacrifice a Goblin. Target you. Sacrifice a Goblin. Onboard kills. Woo! Alright, we've made it to the end of the league with a positive finish here. Overall thoughts on the deck list. I hate this deck. I don't think this deck feels good, despite the fact that I got a positive finish. I think this deck has often felt good from the other side of the battlefield, because I'm often playing wild brews that don't necessarily interact well, and that are just trying to do a thing. And I just felt like this deck was terrible once my opponent started interacting with me. Like, Lackey into Muxus is awesome, you know. Ignoble Hierarch into Food Chain, into, you know, the perfect Snoop chain, go up to Muxus, get a combo kill is cool. But, like, once my opponent starts slinging counterspells and removal, or both at the same time, I just don't feel like this deck is great. I don't feel like you're better than traditional Goblins at playing a fair game. Like, you gain this combo finish, which can be very fast, but it comes at the expense of not playing things like Munitions Expert, which get things out of the way to make your lackeys better. And you don't have Vial to cheat on large amounts of mana. Like, food chain is your way to cheat on mana, but, like, if you food chain yourself to Muxus, then your Muxus gets countered. Like, you ended up emerging resources to try and do a thing. And just also super uncomfortable with how to sideboard with this deck. Because, like, you have fair grinding based plans, you have a combo based plan, and every time I felt like I needed to bring in a large number of cards, I just didn't know which plan I needed to be cutting. I'm glad that I played this. This wasn't um, mechanically frustrating to play like a lot of food chain decks are, because like you don't need to go up to 40 mana to get a Walking Ballista kill or anything. You need to get to 6 to cast a Muxus and you're good to go. So yeah, I'm glad I tried it out, but this deck is, I think, a lot more fragile than I thought it was. I'm just frequently playing decks that can't realistically beat it on their better draws. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. It helps out a lot. I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya.